Hey guys, it's Big Mike, and like always, I'd like to thank you for being here today. Today we've got Anthony from Sierra Chart here to answer questions. It was pretty much going to be an open Q&A. Any type of questions that you guys have, you can just type them into the questions box, and Anthony is going to demonstrate how to do whatever you're asking in Sierra Chart. I do want to mention that this webinar is sponsored by CTS Futures. Normally, Brian from CTS Futures would be here and give us a quick 5-minute rundown of everything that you can do with CTS and the benefits of using their data feed. Unfortunately, Brian was not able to be here today, so if you are looking for a good data feed that works with Sierra Chart, excuse me, be sure you check out CTS Futures, and you can go to their website. It's ctsfutures.com. If you have questions about it, there's a thread on BMT where Brian will answer any question about it. You can just do a search for CTS space AMA. That's the Ask Me Anything thread. Okay, so with that, I do want to remind everybody that the webinar is being recorded. I'll post the recording sometime tomorrow. If you are watching the recording at a later date on YouTube, do me a favor and give us a thumbs up. It does help. All right, so guys, I'm going to turn things over to Anthony. And you can go ahead right now and start typing in your questions. All right, Anthony, I just gave you control.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we see the screen.
Okay. Do you see the GoToWebinar control panel on the screen?
No, it's hidden for us. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just see if I can undock these questions. Okay, that's good. I try to drag that over to the other monitor. Okay. Well, I just want to start out, if the audio level is too high, let me know, because I see it's going into the red, but it looks like it's automatically adjusting now. I just want to thank CTS Futures for sponsoring this webinar. And if you're not already familiar with Sierra Chart is a complete trading platform providing charting functionality and also trading, and we are fully integrated with CTS Futures. You can trade all the markets that they have available. Okay, so the first question is from Scott. Any tool to add extension multiplier to a value of any study? So as an example, the initial balance study has a multiplier extension. Yes, I think that is going to be possible. Okay, so let me demonstrate how that would be done. So I'm going to go to the analysis menu and select studies, and we'll go ahead and add a moving average symbol to the chart. Just going to increase the width of it to make it a little bit thicker. Okay, so it's in the background right now. Now, let's say we want to multiply that by, let's say, something like 1.2. I hope I'm understanding this correct. But we have a series of arithmetic studies. They begin with study subgraph. One of them is study subgraph multiply. So if I add that, and then I click settings, so what I want to then do is base it upon the moving average, and then I can set the multiplier to, I'm just trying to think what would be good. Let me just make it like 1.05. That might be a little too much. That might actually push it too far away. Just make it like 1.01. Okay. And see, draw zeros, that should be fine. And then it's going to go in chart region. I'll put it in chart region 1, and I'll change the color of it to red. Going to make it 3 pixels. And I think that should then draw another line. Yeah, that basically accomplished what I thought. So as you can see, now there's a red moving average that's on the chart, and it has, this was, let me just check the inputs on that. Yeah, I used a 1% multiplier, so I multiplied the green moving average by 1.01, which is 1%. So that can be universally applied to any study to add like an extension line, if that's what you're asking, Scott. Okay. Okay, the next question is from Steve. How do you load a custom-built indicator into Sierra? Well, there are a couple of ways of doing that. It depends upon whether the custom-built study is a DLL file or it's source code, like as a C++ source code file. Okay, so Steve is saying he says CSC. He may have meant CPP. So if the file extension is .cpp, what you would do is you would go to Analysis, and then go to New Open Custom Studies File. Okay, and then, well, actually, let me actually just describe this differently. The first thing you want to do is go to Global Settings, General Settings. Okay. Now, you're going to want to look at where Sierra Chart is installed to on your system. This installation is installed into D Sierra Chart Demo. And off of this folder, you would want to navigate to this folder, and then off of that folder you see another folder called ACS Source. So you want to put the CPP file wherever you obtained it from. You want to save it in there. Okay, and then you go to Analysis, New Open Custom Studies File. Okay, and then that's just going to show you your all of the ACS source folder, and then all the studies files will be there, including the one that you saved. So then you just you can select it, open it up, make any necessary edits, but you don't actually even have to do any edits to it. As I think about this, you could just go to Build Custom Studies DLL, and you could just click Select File and select the file. This was a file that I had selected previously, Order Flow Edge. So basically, just select the file. You click Select File, you'll be navigated to the ACS source folder. You select the file that you saved, and then you just click Build Custom Studies DLL. That just simply immediately generates the DLL file. Okay, so once that is done, then you go to Analysis Studies, and then you click Add Custom Study. And I've just got a lot of stuff that's in here. So here's one, this Order Flow Edge one is the one I just built up. So you would then just select that DLL and then select a particular study within the DLL that you want. And then you just click Add to add it to the chart. And we have very detailed step-by-step instructions on how to do that on the website. Okay, so a question from John is there a way to have a study above the main price graph? Yes, well, there isn't any straightforward support for that, but I think there's some indirect ways that could be done. I'm just thinking about how that might be possible to do. Let's say, let me see if I can accomplish that. I would say the first thing to do is to add the overlay bar study to the chart, and then we'll just, I'm going to click Settings, and let's see, chart number to overlay is already set to chart number 1, so I'm going to click OK. And then we see what region that is, and that's in chart region 2. Okay, so I click Apply, so now we can see it at the bottom. Let me actually use the global color settings for that so it looks the same. So what I did was I just went to the Subgraphs tab and I enabled Use Chart Graphics Settings for subgraph colors, so it'll look just like the main price graph does. So you can see now the main price graph is now at the bottom. So I think the next thing is, let's say I want to do something like add the volume study. Let's say I'll put that above the main price graph. So I add the volume. I'll click Settings. I'll put that in chart region 1, and I'll set it to an let's see, it's set to automatic 0 based. That might be, let me just see if that affects the main price graph. No. Okay, so basically I just put a study into chart region 1. Okay, the volume didn't require any scale changes, but it's possible that might be needed. And then I'm going to click CS on the toolbar. Well, actually there's an easier way. So I'm going to go to the chart menu. Then I'm going to go to Graph Draw Types. And then I'm going to set it to blank. Okay, so you can see, okay, I'm just adjusting the height of these regions. So I've indirectly accomplished this by basically hiding the main price graph in the first chart region. Okay, I did that through Chart, Graph Draw Types, and then I set it to blank. And then I just, by using the overlay bar study, I was able to put it below the main price graph. Okay. Kianatin is asking, regarding the new Sierra Chart CME data feed, any forecast as to if and when the back-adjusted continuous contracts will be available? So we've been talking for a while now about a data feed that we're going to be offering from the CME, tick-by-tick, real-time and historical data feed. So this is something we are working on. And we've had requests for back-adjusted continuous futures contracts. So we do plan to support that. I'm not totally sure whether we're going to do the back adjustment on the server side or on the client side within Sierra Chart, but that will be something we're going to implement. And once we get the data feed out, we'll work on that. Right now, we're just doing all of the programming to develop the server software. We've already got server software that we use for the foreign exchange markets, but we're improving it and converting it to run on Linux for the Mac. The maximum performance. So this is going to come. It should be, hopefully it should be this year. It's not too complicated to get that done. Okay, so from Christopher or Christoph, how can I change the chart background color? Okay, so there's a couple of ways to do that. If you want to change all of your charts background color, you would go to Global Settings and then select Graphic Settings. And then you get a list of various objects that you can change the colors for, the colors and widths and line styles if those are applicable. So I just selected Chart Background. Okay, so it's currently black, and then I can make that a little different. I'm just going to kind of maybe make it kind of a dark gray. I'll just click OK. So now I change it to a dark gray. And if I run out of questions to answer, I'm just going to, talk about some of the new features we've been adding. So a question from John. How do you draw on tomorrow's chart the high and low volume nodes that are drawn today by the volume by price study? So let me think. I'm just thinking, so that would probably be like if there's peak lines, volume peak lines being drawn. So how would that be drawn on the next day? Let's see. If it's not possible, we'll make a note to add it. So I've added the volume by price study. Okay, I'm just going to set that to a 1-day length. So draw peaks and valleys would be extend from the peak full horizontal line. I'm not totally familiar with peaks and valleys. I wasn't the programmer who worked on that, but let me just get this up on the chart and see how it's going to work. Oh, let me get the chart bars back. I'm just changing the color of the peak line that's drawn so I can clearly identify it. Going to set ticks per volume bar down to 1. Okay, looks like we've got a couple of lines. Well, these lines are already extending out into the next day, so, but let's see now, do they extend? Interesting, so was never anything detected on those other two profiles. Yeah, I see they do stop. Okay, it just took, I hadn't been the developer who worked on this, the peaks and valleys, so I just was concentrating on it to understand the logic of what is going on. It looks as though, okay, what I have done is on the, I'm now in the volume by price setting, so on the draw peaks and valleys input, I have it set to peaks only for full horizontal line. So what this appears to be doing is that for the most recent profile, there's now a horizontal line going to the far left edge and to the far right edge. But the only thing of it is, though, is that I can also see how when tomorrow comes, there's going to be a new profile, so the previous day's profile peak lines are not going to extend. So I don't think this is really, John, I don't think this is really possible. We'll have to take it as a suggestion. Okay, a question from Scott is, trade DOM question, any way to change the maximum columns of customized columns from 5 to 7? Well, let me open up a trading DOM. I'm not sure I fully understand that because the columns that will appear on the trade DOM, they're configured through the trade menu and then customize trade dom column. So whatever you add is going to be displayed, so it won't be any less or any more. So if you could clarify that, Scott, that would be helpful. Okay, so the question from RK, how to change the chart background color during the overnight session. Okay, so the way that would be done is, okay, I'm going to click on SW here on the toolbar to go to the study window, and the easiest way to do that would be to use the time range highlight study. Okay, so I've got the study here, time range highlight. I'll add that. So I'm just going to, I believe the time zone I have is, yeah, this is set to New York time. So I'll put a time here of 16, let's just call it 16:30 for the start, and then the end would be, we'll just call that 9:29:59. So I'll have to choose something a little different. It's probably not the best colors, but okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm just verifying the times here. So as you can see, I've set, this to highlight from 4:30 New York time, through the night to just a second before 9:30 in the morning. So this was using the study time range highlight, so that's how that's accomplished. Okay, so a question from Dale. Would you demonstrate how to create a simple automated trading system? Buy when 9-day SMA turns up, sell when it turns down. Yeah, I'll get to that. I just want to quickly move forward to Joe. So the question is, when you offer the CME data feed, will there be an option to include the S&P PIT data? Yeah, it depends upon, yeah, I mean, certainly that option should be available. I'm not sure if that's part of the exchange fee waiver. The first offering will be the markets that the CME offers under the exchange fee waiver. So, I'm assuming you're referring to like the big S&P contract, not the mini. I think that would be included. I'm not sure about that, but I mean, but certainly we'll have an option. If that's not included in the CME waiver, then the next phase of it is we're going to offer, all the exchanges, if to be subscribed to with an exchange fee. And we're also going to bring out eventually the ICE and the Eurex as well, and even stocks. Okay, so actually, Dale, in regards to that might be a little bit involved, but I'll go through the, as far as demonstrating an automated trading system, I could spend quite a bit of time on that. I'll just kind of give you a quick overview of it because actually I'm running the non-CLR version of Sierra Chart, and our spreadsheets are still under development, but and I wanted to kind of give you a preview of what we're doing. So I'm not totally sure how well the spreadsheet trading study is going to work. But just for clarity, the simplest way to do an automated trading system is through our spreadsheet study. So I'm going to add that to the chart. Okay, so this is what you would want to use. So you'd want to add spreadsheet system for trading. Okay, click add. And there's a lot of inputs on here. I'm just going to have a quick look at them. Allow multiple entries in the same direction, once per bar. Allow entries with working orders. I'll set maximum position allowed to just 1. I think this one I'll set no, so I said allow opposite entry with opposing position or orders. I set that to no. Okay. And I'll give this a name. I'll just call it test. Let's call it test 94 for September 4th. Okay. So these are our new spreadsheets. This is the actual spreadsheet that just popped open. So I think the other part of it was a 9-day simple moving average. So I'm going to add the moving average simple to the chart. I'll set its length to 9. John, I'm going to have to probably just, or Dale asked that question. That's pretty involved, and you know, I have to think through what the appropriate formula would be. So anyway, basically what you would do. Now, why don't I see scroll bars on this? That option was off. Okay, I'll have to see why that was off by default. I had to enable the scroll bars through the menu. Anyway, this is all still pretty new. But basically, Dale, you would enter the formula. The actual study data is outputted over here. Okay, so we have, just quickly go back to the chart. So we've got, so the study data is outputted over here, beginning at column AA by default. This particular moving average is outputted to AB. So basically, you would write a formula that references that. So like in the buy entry, which is the K3 column, you would put something like AB3, maybe, for example, greater than the prior value, like AB4. Actually, that just tripped a, yeah, you know, this is not, I can see there's a problem with the way some of these let me just set this to ignore. See if that corrects to scale. Yeah. Probably it's not the ignore arrow up. Now, it's not, there's a problem with the translation of the spreadsheet values. This is still, as I said, our non-CLR version where the spreadsheets are still in development. But basically, you just enter a spreadsheet formula on the spreadsheet. This will work fine in the CLR version. And that will then, submit an order. It also submitted the attached orders, which are not displaying very, because the scaling is being thrown off. I'm just going to remove that. So anyway, that submitted an order, and we then got our attached orders. We have a limit above the market right here, and then the stop order down here. And then once those fill, either of those fills, it'll flatten the position, and then the spreadsheet will be ready to submit another order. Okay, I'm going to go on to a question, let's see, from Rick. When in auto trading mode, is there a way to have the signals only fire off in one chart book and not another? Well, Sierra Chart doesn't have any kind of mode called auto trading mode. You can have an automated trading study on a chart which can submit orders, and that will be active until it's been disabled through the study input settings, or if you've gone to trade. If you've unchecked auto trading enabled, it will disable it. There is no auto trading mode. So is there a way to have the signals only fire off in one chart book and not another? Whether the chart book is the chart book would have to be open in order for the automated trading system to be active, assuming that the automated trading system has been enabled. Now, if you have, let's say, two chart books open and one of them is not visible, one of them is in the background, and it contains an automated trading system, it's still going to function. So the second part of the question is same question in relationship to two different time frame charts for the same market symbol. Well, what I would say is if you've got two charts, each with an automated trading system, let's say the same automated trading system, and each chart is a different time frame, then you would want to, if you want to only trade from one of those charts, let's say you've got a 5-minute chart and a 10-minute chart. On the 5-minute chart, let's say you want to do auto trading from the 5-minute chart, just make sure your automated trading system is enabled on the 5-minute chart. It depends upon how that's implemented. If it's implemented as a spreadsheet trading system, there's a cell in the spreadsheet to enable and disable auto trading, so you want to make sure it's enabled. And the 10-minute chart, if you don't want to trade from there, then just make sure the automated trading system is disabled. I'm just going to make some notes about the spreadsheet to check on some of those menu commands and the scroll bars. And then I also wanted to make a note about the peak lines extending forward from the prior day. Okay, now a question from James. Assuming a chart book has several charts of the same instrument with different time frames, can I highlight an area probably extending a rectangle on all of the charts simultaneously? Yes. So what I will do is I've just clicked on the chart menu and I'm going to go to duplicate chart. I guess that's probably a good way to do it. So now on this chart at the top, number 3, I'm going to have it copy drawings from chart number 1. So I've gone into chart settings and I've gone to the advanced settings tab. And then in this box here, copy chart drawings from chart numbers. I'm going to put a 1 in that box. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to go to the tools extending rectangle tool. Let me go ahead and set the colors back to the background color back to just a black. Okay. So here's an extending rectangle I'm drawing now. It's not showing up in the other chart. Oh, wait a minute, I've got this. Let me cancel that. I got to do it on the number 1 chart so it copies over to the other one. Okay, so as you can see, I drew it on the number 1 chart, and then it appeared over on the other, the chart on the left, which is the number 3 chart, because it's copying drawings from chart number 1. I just was changing the color. Okay. Okay, so a question from Scott says, these are the columns I would want. Bid size by column. Okay, so let me go back to the trading DOM. So I'm going to go to Trade, Customize Trade DOM Columns. Okay, so you want bid size by column. Okay, we've got that centered. Okay. And then the recent bid volume centered. Recent bid volume centered. Okay. And then price, and then the recent ask volume centered. Okay. And then ask size cell centered. Okay. And then cumulative last size. Okay, and I'll assume that's centered as well. So I add that. I had to actually just now move that down. So we've got 6 columns. So that should be everything you want. Okay, now we're not seeing the the cumulative or the bid volume, ask volume at each price level because I just added this to the background processing hasn't been done yet. But as it's starting to fill in. You can see like right here, like at the 1637.75 level, it's now set to 6. So that means we just traded 6 contracts at that price while it's been sitting at this price of 1637.75. So hope that answers it, Scott. So Joe is now saying that he's referring to the big S&P. Yeah, that should be available. If not in the initial offering, certainly in the second offering, but there might be an exchange fee for that. Do you offer Renko charts? So this is a question from Theo. Yes, we do. So I'm just going to maximize this chart number 1. And then I'm going to go to click the CS button on the toolbar to go to chart settings. So Renko charts is an intraday bar period type. So in here, I would just select Renko in ticks, and let's just make this 5 ticks. Okay, and I'll click OK. So here are, this is a Renko, 5-tick Renko chart right here. Okay, question from RK. Is there a way to highlight an overnight gap with an extended rectangle to the right until gap fill? Not automatically, no. No, that would have to be, manually drawn, RK. So you'd have to go like tools, rectangle, and I guess, it's like, if I'm understanding this correctly, for example, there's a gap right here, so you're saying where did this gap get filled? So it'd be like right about here. So that would be an overnight gap, assuming that occurred in overnight hours. Probably did. Yeah, that would be the overnight hours. With an extended rectangle to the right until gap fill. So that would have to be manually drawn. Now, that could be, a study could be developed, of course. That would be a custom study. Could be, programmed to search for a gap and then draw using two subgraphs to fill out the values during that time period where the gap hasn't been filled and then fill between them. So that's certainly possible to develop a study for that. But we don't have anything like that built in. Okay, Jonathan, it says right-click and you will have an option to add scroll bars. Yeah. That should be on by default, though. I don't know why it's not on, and it's also these commands shouldn't even be enabled. These are just some little details we have to do. I'll make sure they're taken care of today. Tom is saying don't use the same name spreadsheet in two chart books. Okay, that may be answering the question about maybe auto trading from two different chart books. Okay. Trader 1 is saying, how do you change preset attached orders for a BE trailing stop once in a trade? I tried to use cancel all, then send orders by position, and also cancel all, then send orders by price. In both ways, simply flatten my position. Well, canceling orders is not going to flatten the position. For example, I've got attached orders right now. You can see I've got a target at 1642 here and 1637. I guess it depends upon what kind of change you want to make. If you want to make, if you just simply want to adjust the orders, you can just click and drag them. But I suspect what you're wanting to do is maybe like if you have like a move to break even setting, like maybe the break even level offset or the trigger offset, if you want to change those, yeah, that's not changeable once you've submitted the order, but like you're saying, you can cancel them. See, I've got a position, I'm long one right now on the S&P, so if I click cancel, the attached orders are canceled, okay? Trigger offset 10. Now, if I want to just send these orders, send the attached orders by position, I can do that. One way to do this is through the trade window. I select attached orders position, and then I could just, since these are sell orders, I'll just click sell. And there they are. So you can see now I've got a break-even stop with the new settings. Right here you can see it's the stop BE. So you may have been clicking flatten. Okay, question from Joe. There was a request on the support board to add the feature of resetting the zigzag at the start of the trading day. Will this be available at some point? Yes. One of the developers who's done the recent work on the zigzag study knows about it. Just something we have to get to. Whenever it comes, zigzag is one of the most complex studies we have. And whenever anything that involves time is very tricky. Anytime studies involve analyzing start times and stop times, especially something like the zigzag study, which has to back iterate the data and make adjustments, it's just really complicated. It's really complicated to get that stuff actually working properly. So, you know, it's just like when we can get to it. Okay, I can't add the sixth column. It just overlays on the fifth. Let's see how many columns I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, okay. Okay, I see. Now Scott said, never mind, I got it to work. Okay. BE being break even. Change from move to break even to fixed stop. Okay. Okay, so I think Trader 1 is okay. He's just, I'm reading over the questions about like changing the attached orders once they've been set or been sent. So you have to cancel them first and then reconfigure them. Assuming you want to change something like like the break-even settings. If you just want to change the price of an attached order, just drag the order on the chart or trade down. But if you need to change something like the break-even offset, then you do have to cancel the orders and then resend them by position or price. So if you have further questions on that, Trader 1, let us know. Okay, well, we're out of questions here, so I'm just going to go on to some of the new features we've added. I was looking at our What's New page on the website. You can see all the new features there, and that was I think since the last webinar, there's just an enormous amount we've done. So that was quite time-consuming for me to pick out the major items. So just a few things came to mind of some recent things we've done. Sierra Chart now has the ability to support trading from multiple accounts within the same, multiple trade accounts in the same copy of Sierra Chart. So what you'll find is on the trade window, you'll see a list box. This list box right here is what sets the trade account. This is currently set to sim because I'm in trade simulation mode. If I was not in trade simulation mode, this would list all of the accounts on the trading account or on the on your logged in username through your trading service, all the accounts on that username, and then you can just pick one that you want to trade through. And you can, each trade window which is attached to a particular chart or trade DOM can be set to a different account. Now, on the initial release of that a few weeks ago, if you changed the account, you would still see all the orders on the chart or trade DOM from each account still displayed. Now we filter those, so you only see the orders on the chart that are for that particular account. Okay, I just want to. Okay, Trader 1's got a question. Is it possible to simulate an artificial price feed to move price in any chosen direction for the purposes of testing attached orders? No, I think this was posted on the. Someone was asking the same thing on the support board a few days ago. You can't program. Well, I mean, if you were to actually edit the data, you could then replay it and replay the edited data. But really, what you have to do is just scroll the chart to kind of see, look for the price movement you're looking for. Like I could scroll right here to get a point where the price starts moving up, and then I'll click RPL in toolbar to bring up the replay window. And then I can start a replay. One nice thing about replay now is you can actually dynamically change the speed while the replay is running. So I just took it to 120 times, 240 times, 480 times. And you can use any number. These are just kind of, these numbers are like doubling from the prior number. I mean, I can, if I want to replay it 300 times, I can do that. I could just type 300 in here. Okay. And you can see the replay speed shown up here also, 300 times. So once you can just scroll the chart to where you want, to where you see the price action that will be useful for testing out the attached orders, and then you start a replay, and that's how you can test them. That's what we do. Okay. So I described, the support for multiple trade accounts. Another thing is on our quote board, it's now possible to set, alerts, simple price alerts. So I can if I go to the alerts menu and do add symbol alert. Well, first thing I want to do is go ahead and select a quote line with a symbol. I'll go alerts, add symbol alert, and then I can select a particular data field to compare to, usually the last trade price, the comparison operator above or equal to, and then the price. This is the actual unmultiplied value. We need to, since that's how the data comes in from CTS, so that's something we need to work on, is to get the multiplier shown here. So you can then set a comment and show the alert log when triggered, or show an alert pop up when triggered, and you can choose the sound and the precision. And then that will show up in the alert manager. All the alerts as they occur. And there's different sort settings. So this one is currently triggered because we're at, this actually is probably driven off the real-time data feed, not replay. I'd have to find out about that. Yeah, so the market's at 1638, so this was set to be at 1632. So that's now triggered. So if I just right-click this and I can select Edit, delete it, or do a new alert. So triggered value, and it gives the time it's been triggered at. Can rearm it. So that basically reset it. Now it got triggered again. And it got triggered at 1638.25. Okay. So a question from RK: using two different accounts with the same broker with Sierra Chart installed on two different computers with different DSL providers for each computer, and it seems not possible to save the parameters of the second account. In fact, the second account returns the same parameters than the first account. Okay, so let me read this again. Using two different accounts with the same broker with Sierra Chart installed on two different computers with a different DSL providers for each computer, and it seems not possible to save the parameters of the second account. In fact, for RK, what parameters are you talking about for the second account? That's not clear. Okay. So I had shown you the new spreadsheet functionality. So if I go File, New Spreadsheet, so we're developing, well, the development is nearly complete. So if I go, yeah, I've got to show the headings on there and the scroll bars. I don't know why that's not all enabled by default. Okay, so RK is, just to follow up with a question from RK, he's talking about two TT accounts, but still not clear what saving what parameters though. So the spreadsheet functionality that in our the main release that most people are using, it's actually a component developed by outside developer. And for the last 6 months or so, we've been developing our own high-performance spreadsheet functionality, all in native C++ code. This is so important, so that we have complete control over, the spreadsheet functionality. We can enhance the spreadsheets and, allow it to be much more tightly integrated with the spreadsheet study. Another important thing is, the current spreadsheet component has a dependency upon this Microsoft.NET framework, and we've been working to remove all of that, anything .NET related in Sierra Chart over the last year or so. And we're just about done with that. So once that is done, Sierra Chart will, be free from any dependency on any Microsoft components and allow us to support other operating systems. So that's going to be the major project for next year, is to port Sierra Chart to run on other operating systems. Probably we're going to use the Qt framework. That's the most popular one. We just need to be certain about the graphics performance on Qt to make sure that it doesn't impact the chart drawing performance adversely, but it should be okay because they go to it's just probably a lightweight layer on top of the Windows GDI that we use right now. But a lot of this, the spreadsheet functionality is nearly done. To edit a cell, you just click and click again, and you get this edit box, and where you type in the formula. This little arrow is supposed to create a larger edit box, but it doesn't do anything yet. And like if I just want to say like equals A1, and I'll just click OK. Now that's blank, but if I go to A1 and put in here, let's say 70. Oh, got to. And then you can see over here the formula appeared. And this is all, been developed to be extremely fast on the back end processing. John is asking, does that include native Mac support? And yes, it will. It'll run directly on a Mac. RK is saying sender comp ID and password for the second account seems to always be the same as the one of the first account. It's not possible to save the parameters for the second account. Oh, okay, RK. Okay. Okay, it's clear to me now what you're referring to. Yeah, because that information, the sender comp ID, is automatically set. That's like preset for you through your broker, and it's been transmitted to Sierra Chart, to both copies. RK, my suggestion is that you probably have an account for a particular broker. I don't want to mention the one because this webinar is sponsored by CTS, and you're probably using like Sierra Chart provided through your account. What you're going to do is set up your own Sierra Chart account that you pay for directly through us, and then you can configure. Well, actually, you know what, RK? Go to the Help menu in Sierra Chart and select Purchase/Account Management, and from there on the web page you will see that's just going to take you to our your control panel. We probably should rename that command since there's so much more functionality in there. Maybe we'll call it Account Control Panel. Start an account support ticket. You'll find a link to that, and then just say that you want the automatic setting of TT settings removed from your account. Okay, and that'll solve it. John is asking, does that mean native iOS support rather? Yes, I mean it's going to run on the operating system of the Mac. So Jonathan is asking, are you also planning to add the capability to send one trading order to multiple trading accounts simultaneously according to pre-configured position size for each account? No, that's not that's not planned right now. No, and preferably I think the CTS system may support something like that. I mean, that kind of functionality is something that usually the trading APIs provide, and we may be able to work that in eventually with some of the trading platforms. But I don't think we're going to get to it. Yeah, he's mentioning RTrader. We'd have to see about that. I mean, I don't think we do anything new with RTrader right now, but we'll look at that next year. Trader 1 is asking, trend lines drawn on minute charts don't display correctly on volume charts. Well, they are going to move probably. I mean, there's a myriad of possibility, myriad of things, of little effects you can see, Trader 1, when it comes to, changing the time frame of a chart and then a line moving. So you need to kind of show us like a before image, like on your minute chart, and then an after image on the volume chart, and post those on the support board, and then we can comment on it and see if there's any suggestion we can give to avoid that. But there are certain technical reasons why you're seeing what you're seeing. So one little thing we talked about on our support board, in regards to the new spreadsheets is, this is for those who really use spreadsheets a lot, this is a really dramatic improvement we've made. So I'm adding the spreadsheet study to the chart, and that is all of the columns now, from the main price graph and also the studies. Oh, it's annoying. I've got to enable the scroll bars. I think those commands were added in, and just the defaults were never set. But all of the study subgraphs that are outputted, and also the main price graph columns, they all now in the square brackets ahead of the subgraph name, there's like an ID shown, like this one is ID2.SG1. So rather than writing a formula that says like equals AB3, you would type in like equals ID2.SG1.3 if you want to make reference to it. And therefore, if studies are added and removed from the chart, or the number of subgraphs increases with a study, usually subgraphs don't decrease, but if it increases, then your formulas all still are pointing to the right location. And I can't really quite demonstrate that now because that's still being worked on, but the basics of it are in place. Okay, question from RK. Do you plan to add chart patterns recognition, butterfly, Gartley, A, B, C, D in the next few months or next year? We'll have to see about that. I mean, quite honestly, to do that kind of stuff, it's going to require that one of us get familiar with those patterns and program it in. I mean, so we'll have to see. I mean, it's we've just, a lot of, what we're really interested in with Sierra Chart when it comes to development is developing a very solid, foundation, very fast, high-performance software. I mean, we do a lot of low-level work to make Sierra Chart very reliable and fast. We're developing a back-end data feed. So that's really where a lot of our development focus comes. While Sierra Chart is loaded with features, some things we haven't really, gotten involved with, things like this Gartley stuff. And, if a developer personally doesn't have an interest in this kind of stuff, it gets to be a real struggle to try to understand these things and implement them. So I don't know. I mean, we have to see. I personally don't even know anything about this stuff. I don't know what a Gartley is. So I personally myself wouldn't do it. I mean, I have to see if one of the other programmers would be interested. But right now, I mean, we're all full, very busy with other things. You know, anyone on the outside can do this stuff too. I mean, they can use our advanced custom study interface and language and program these things in. And I wouldn't be surprised that when you find these things on other platforms, who developed them? Was it developed by, the provider of the trading platform or someone on the outside? In many cases, these are just outside developers doing these things. Just being honest about, how we look at things internally for specialized requests, because then it's, then someone says, well, why doesn't this Gartley look right? And then it's like, then we've got to study all the specifications again on it and try to figure out, well, what's really wrong. And if someone asks us that question 6 months from now after we programmed it, it's like we don't even know how to even answer the question unless we start really, relearning, how that was even programmed and going into a lot of details. So it's just easiest for us just to stay away from these things in general, unless it's like a critical, high, in-demand item. And we're much more interested, in working on our trade DOM. There's a lot of suggestions for, trade DOM improvements, for some color coding, highlighting of bid-ask, things like that. That kind of stuff we're happy to do, and we're going to get to. Delivering reliable data is very important to us. Making sure, things work reliably. You just start Sierra Chart up, the data downloads, it's fast, it's reliable, it works. And that's really where our focus is. Otherwise, it just gets to be, we get to be, under way too much stress trying to, add a lot of these specialized items that are not commonly asked for and try to support them and document them. It gets to be really quite difficult for us. So question from Tom, can columns H and J be included with the formula columns that follow the formula source sheet number? H, let's see, H and J. Okay, Tom, I understand that. Please ask us on the support board, and we'll work on that for you. We'll get it done. Yeah, we'll do that. So just for clarity, can columns H and J be included with the formula columns that follow the formula source sheet number? Yeah, so we can do that. Yeah, absolutely. I understand the usefulness of that. Okay. And that would bring about more consistency when using when the formulas are coming from a different sheet. RK is asking, or let me just jump ahead to Tom. Read cells of J. Yeah. So yeah, we'll pick up the content of H and J, and probably that might be a rather large block copy, and then we'll use a number of rows setting, and like if you were outputting 1,000 rows, we would take H3 to like H1002, and then copy that over to the sheet. So from the source, from the formula source sheet, and then copy to the sheet that's being used by the chart. We can do that, and we do the same thing with J. With the new support board, it's not easy to make an advanced research. When will it be possible to use advanced research? We'll have to see about that. We'll have a look at that next month to see what we can do. But that board was developed by us. We're not using, we didn't use any pre-built support board. It's all built by us and is fully integrated with our website. We like to develop, every bit of software we really use and support, we like to be in full control of it. That's why all of the connections now to external trading services and data services are now direct socket connections, no APIs. With CTS, we're using a direct fixed connection now. Trader 1 is asking, is there a way to see a graphical calendar view of the trade statistics, trade activity log? There are some trading studies you can add to get, to some extent, yes. And I think if we don't have the particular field you're looking for, then let us know in our support board. But okay, I just went to Analysis Studies, and I'm looking through the Studies Available list. So you can see many studies that begin with trading, like this one shows the closed profit loss. So this would be like all, the cumulative closed profit loss for order fill, based upon the order fills for the particular symbol of the chart. There's daily profit loss, losing trades, maximum drawdown, maximum run up. You can even show the position. That was something new we added. So you can see your position historically through the chart. Well, this one actually is not like a graphical view, but it gives you text, shows your PL. There's various fields to add through that. Various PL fields that are displayed as text. Another one as graph is total quantity filled, total trades. Triggered limit order entry is actually like an order a study which enters like a special type of order. So that's not really it's not a graph. Then there's trading winning trades. So that's another one. It is at total quantity filled. Simulated trade is yes. Daily values, cumulative. Okay. I'm just making some notes about something I saw, how the study didn't seem to immediately update when added to the chart. We'll have to look at that. Okay, RK is asking, do you have CTS T4 customers that use spreadsheets for automatic calendar spread trading? I don't know of anyone, RK, but I see no reason why there would be any trouble with that. That should work quite reliably. So Trader 1 is asking, can you show how to view those studies on a chart, like say daily profit loss? Yes. So I go trading daily profit loss, and I'll add that. Let me take off this quantity filled one. Okay, there, it just reloaded in. Actually, zero lines shouldn't really be plotted. So I just added that to the chart, and you can see that currently the daily PL. I wonder what the format of that is, though. Is that 300? That might be as a currency value. Let me just set the currency value. Yeah, that is as a currency value. So it doesn't really pick up the formatting of the chart. So I'll see if we can implement that. So use the PL format of chart. So here I've added trading daily profit loss, and you can see that the daily PL is currently at 300. You can see what it is historically in the chart. So Trader 1 is saying, I also couldn't figure out how to get them to display. Okay. There might be a problem with when they're initially added that they need to, the chart has to undergo a full recalculation to load in the, to allocate the necessary arrays for them, and that may not be happening automatically. It didn't seem to right away. Like if I remove these ones, then I go chart, reload and recalculate. Let me add the daily PL again, see what happens. Well, that worked. I'll have to look at that some more. So Jonathan is asking, in the trade activity log, the latest trades appear way down, so one has to scroll down to see the latest trades. It'd be great if you could add an option to show the recent trades at the top of the list and the older ones at the bottom. Okay, I'll take that down as a suggestion. See, we keep very busy with all these small things, just like, you know, like for example, I've got a list now about 5-6 items just from this webinar of things to do, and that's why some of these more like a pattern, something like pattern recognition. I mean, it's just, you know, with all that we've got to do, even though we're several programmers now, I mean, there's just very hard for us to fit something like that in. Okay. How do you get the chart trader on the chart? That's from Steve. Well, there's a couple of ways of trading from the charts. Go to a chart and then go to the trade menu at the top. First thing to do is to make sure chart trade mode is checked. It is on here. Another thing you can enable is the trading chart DOM on. So you can see now on the right side we have like buy and sell columns for entering orders. So if I click, let's say up here in the top, towards the top right, I now got a confirm order ticket, and now I've just put an order in that's got 2 attached orders with it. So, and then, you know, these orders can just be freely dragged on the chart. So let us know if you have more questions about that, Steve. Sort the results by column headings. Trader 1, we'll have to see. I mean, that's a very big trade activity log. It contains a lot of information, and I don't foresee now actually sorting it by the column. That gets pretty intense. That's just going to be probably a performance hit. That whole log is really optimized to be very efficient. I don't see that happening. Certainly, we can change the display order, like, you know, the most recent, display the most recent orders at the top and the older ones at the bottom. But sorting by column, I don't think so. That's just too involved. Okay, Jonathan says, you are doing great at SC is awesome. Thank you. Trader 1 is asking, also while in a trade, the max open profit in a trade activity log shows based on the current price, not max while in the duration of the trade. Oh, is that a feature request for the maximum open position profit to show based on the current price? Yeah, I think I'm looking at I just went to the orders and positions window and looking at the trade stats for charts tab. Oh, you're saying it should show based on the duration of the trade. It should. It should. We haven't done any testing of that recently, but I guess I can run some tests. It should, as long as you've been connected to the data feed and you have a chart open for for the market being traded. So that's something to check on. I guess we have to run through a test to make sure that's okay. Okay, we'll test that out. Is this for live trading? So trader, when you're saying the maximum open position profit and loss, these are being based upon the last trade price and not the price range during the life of the position. Is this occurring with live trading or simulated trading? It should be fine. During sim testing. Okay. Oh, once the trade is closed, it shows correctly, but while in a trade, it shows based on the current price. Yeah, that could be. That's true. That actually does make sense. Those are not real-time updating fields. So if you can see I've got the Trades tab open. That does make sense because the data that the Trades tab requires while a position is actually open, like these two are currently open. The data that's required is not known, the high-low price range for the trade, until such time that there's a closing fill. That's what then, the fill, that's like held in the position object, and then once you close the trade out, that's then transferred over to like a fill record that goes into the log. That just has to do with how all of this is organized. We'll have to look at that later on. Yeah, hitting apply at so trader 1 is saying even if you hit apply at the top, it recalcs, but only on current price, not on actual max open profit while in a trade. That's true. It won't. You'd have to, yeah. We'd have to think about that. Question from RK, is it possible to add a new kind of moving average? For example, I want to see for a 5-minute time-based chart the average of the last 20 days. For example, I want to see for a 5 minutes time-based chart the average of the last 20 days, 9:30 a.m. price. Same for all the next 5 minutes value for the last 20 days and be able to compare the average for all those 5 minutes average data for the last 20 days on the actual chart. Well, that's certainly possible with some custom programming. In fact, it's kind of an average with two components, a specific time for the specific number of the day and the price at that time of day. So it would be like the price, like for the last 20 days at 9:30 a.m., the average of those prices. No, I mean, that's not supported directly, but it can be added. I mean, I don't really see us getting to, something like that, but that could be developed. So trader 1 is saying, can you make a sound alert once a stop is moved to break even or trailed? Yep, Yes, we can do that. So that would be an alert on trail activation. And that would also include move to break even activation. Okay, we'll put that in. That's not a problem. Well, we're almost about an hour and a half, Mike. There's one other thing I just want to show we've added. So I'm going to go to Global Settings, Symbol Settings, and just hearing some beeping in the background. Is that from the Alert Manager? I'll have to look at that. Looks like something from the account, from the CTS account. Some order fills came in. Okay, I'll have to look at that. Don't know where all those order fills came from. There's no average fill price on there. I have to see. Okay, but if I go to Global Settings, Symbol Settings, we can you can now specify, like on futures contracts, rollover rules. Now, and there's a lot of possibilities here, like for the stock index futures, you probably would want to use like number of business days before Wednesday count within contract month, and then specify, these these settings. Now, the reason rollover rules, the way that rollover rules can be used, is through like chart settings. You could enable like this option here, automatically rollover futures symbol. So once it expires, the chart can automatically change once that occurs once you reopen the chart book. Another thing you can do is like on the quote board. Oh, here's a quote board. I'm just looking for it. You can also, you can see on the settings menu, I have auto rollover future symbols enabled, so that also by setting a rollover rule, you can also have the symbols automatically change over to the next contract month. And this, if I go edit, join intraday data, and this join function we have for joining files together, you can also, there's a couple of ways of handling the transition between one futures contract to another. It can be based upon the volume. When the volume becomes greater in the next contract month, the rollover will occur at that time, or you can use a rollover rule based upon a particular, based upon those rules, which are based on like kind of like calendar-based type rules. Okay, a bunch of new questions have come in. Okay, so Trader 1 is saying, excellent, thank you, and that would be in response to the alert on a trail order activation. So John is asking, is there a way to print the trade activity log? If not, would you consider adding that functionality? Well, the way to do that is to determine what tab you want to print. And you can select Edit, Copy All, and then just paste it into like a text editor and print it that way. Or you can do File, Save Log As, and that'll save it as a text file. Then you can also just open it up in a text editor and print. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Then you have the flexibility to format the fonts the way you want. And I think that's why we probably wouldn't add direct print capability, because once we do, then then there's a question as to like margins and fonts and all of that, and it'd just be easiest to let a text editor handle it. It's pretty easy to get the data into a text editor. Gordon is asking, at the moment I can't select my live trading account in the trade window when I'm not connected to Interactive Brokers. Therefore, I can't show filled orders in my charts. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I think I know how to solve that. So we probably have to save separately the non-SIM account, and then when you go out of SIM mode to restore it. Okay. No problem. So Trader 1 is saying, a drawing made on the daily chart starts in the future when copied to an intraday chart. Well, let's see. It's going to flatten off everything here to clear all this off. So a drawing made on the daily chart. So I'll go to a daily time frame. Well, I guess it depends upon where, where in the intraday chart it's, or where on the daily chart you've drawn it. Like I've just drawn a line at the end through these last few end bars. So if I go to like a 5-minute or 10-minute, let's see where that appears. So I don't know. We have to have before and after screenshots to comment on that. You can post that on our support board. Question from Trader 1, is it possible to roll over the real-time update symbol for historical charts when the intraday charts are rolled over? Well, yeah, I mean, that's automatically, it depends upon what data or trading service you're using. Probably this would apply to a trading service. I mean, if the alternate real-time update symbol is automatically set and you roll over an historical chart, that will update. Now you're talking about rolling over the intraday chart. That's probably not going to automatically update the historical charts. You'd have to roll over the historical charts separately. But once that's done, once you've done one of those historical charts, all of them will be automatically rolled over, assuming you've used chart perform future symbol rollover. But I guess I just don't have enough details there to know what the problem is, what trading service is being used, and what the symbols of the charts are. Okay, RK is asking, is it possible to have a volume condition for the rollover, for example, only rollover when volume of the new contract is higher than the actual contract? Well, that does occur when we build up, like when you enable the continuous futures contract option in chart settings, that we do use volume, but we don't have like a rollover based on, as far as like changing the symbol of a chart to the next one, it's not based on volume, no. That would require actually having the volume, to be aware of the volume for the different contracts at the time the chart is opened or at some later point. But no, it's not performed that way, no. I saw on the support board a request to be able to highlight the bid-ask price on the DOM. Yes, we know about that, and we'll get to it. Yeah, that's something on our to-do list. We haven't followed up on that, but we're going to be following up the next couple days. Could trade activity log save as be upgraded to emit a CSV in addition to just text? Yeah, I think it's tab delimited columns. We might just change it to comma, I suppose. Usually on a clipboard, actually, even if we copy to the clipboard, even a comma might be fine too. But so trader 1 is saying on high, low of a day. Not quite sure what trader 1 is asking. Oh, you're saying, okay, so on the high, low of a day, we need to see specific charts, trader 1, of the line you've actually drawn, because the high, low, it depends upon the time. I guess one thing I can do, let me just have a look at, one thing I want to look at though is if I go to a daily chart, now if I draw a line, let's say from the high of this day out, and I delete this one, now the time of that bar though this is just pretty much going to be considered like a midnight bar. The starting time it too, because it just has a date only. So let me see if we go now to like a 5-minute on the 12th. Is that drawn on 9/2? 9/3 midnight starts there. Starts on 9/2, 2000 hours. I think it's because that's the unadjusted time. I have to see about that. I would think this would show up on the beginning of like 9/3, but I think it's backing it up by the because it probably, I have to see. I'll have to look into that actually. Yeah, there really shouldn't be any shifting of it based on it. It has something. What I'm seeing, it has to do with the time zones. Let me make a note though about these chart drawings. Chart drawing mapping from daily to intraday. In regards, John is asking about, I read this question before. He's asking, if the save as on the trade activity log can output in comma separated values rather than tabs. What would be, the need for that? I just want to understand, why a tab character, usually that's sufficient. Like if you're wanting to do some processing on it, because there is a tab delimiter there in that, spreadsheets will recognize that very well. Just want to get a better understanding of what the technical need is for that. So Chris is asking, there is an option to share chart drawings on different charts. Why, when sharing drawings from a daily chart, continuous, with an intraday non-continuous, are drawings not quite the same on each chart? Once again, we're getting a lot of questions about the mapping. I have to see an example. There could be a very specific technical reason why you see what you do, and that's just how it is. Like for example, here I'm seeing on the daily chart that this line originated at the start of 9/3, September 3rd, and now it's backed up by basically the difference between GMT time and New York time, which is currently 4 hours. That shouldn't be. It should have shown at the beginning. Should have started right here. So I'm going to look at that. I know this stuff has been looked at in detail before, and I'm not quite sure why it's this way, because there really shouldn't be any offset original, But actually, probably when it's flipped over, probably there isn't, but then when it's maybe converted again. Okay, actually, I know why it happens now that I think about it. It's almost like we have to flag that not to perform any yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, question from Dave. Do both Sierra Trader and T4 Trader have server-side execution when using CTS data feed? Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, all orders are sent from Sierra Chart are executed on the server or at the exchange, including OCO orders. Well, actually, when it comes to like like attached orders, which would be in an OCO, which were the two child orders, like your target and stop, those would be in an OCO group. That OCO group is not sent to the server until there's a fill of the parent order. So that's the only time where the orders are held locally. So Trader 1 is saying, yes, that's the issue. Sometimes it's the opposite. Drawing on an intraday shows a day later.
Hey, Anthony. Is there any other high-level stuff that you want to show us? And then I'm going to just ask anybody else to email you or use your support board for these last few questions.
Right. I think I think when it comes to the high-level stuff, I've shown everything I had in my list.
Okay. I know that you started to tell us briefly what had changed between the last webinar and this webinar. I know it was a big list, so I didn't know if you wanted to mention those things or not. I wasn't sure.
I did go over the things I wrote down.
Okay.
There just was so many, though, I didn't have a chance to put it all down. But
okay.
Go ahead.
The non-CLR version, is it your intention to not maintain two different builds, but just have one build going forward, if I understand right? And when do you think that's going to happen?
Right. We're going to have one build going forward, but I don't think that we're going to be fully transitioned over to the non-CLR version until the end of the year, because the spreadsheets really, although that's nearly done, there's still more work to do, and
Right. Okay.
a lot of people, they're doing a lot of advanced things with our current spreadsheets, and we have to make sure that's all migrated over very successfully.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if there's not anything else, then I think we should probably go ahead and stop. We're at 1 hour and 45 minutes, and I'll just ask anybody that has any further questions to get a hold of you. What's the best way that they can ask those questions for you?
Oh, these should go on our support board. So they just go to the Help menu and select Support Board, and then just post them there.
Okay. All right, guys. So, Anthony, as always, I want to thank you for all of your time today and to show us everything and answer everybody's questions. Appreciate that very much. And want to thank CTS Teachers again for making that possible. And anybody else, if you have other questions that did not get answered, you can just go to sierrachart.com and go to the support board and post your questions right there, and Anthony or somebody else will take care of it. All right, guys, so I'm going to post the recording for this sometime tomorrow. You can find it on our YouTube channel or on BMT. Thanks, Anthony. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Bye now.